I'm having a great time here at Risk Europe, but when I saw you guys at the booth, you're talking about risk measurement in terms of quantification. Nobody else here is doing that. They're talking about incident tracking and authorization, but if you can't measure risk, you can't manage it. And when you're up against other project initiatives, you need to be expressed how much benefit your risk program is going to bring from a bottom line perspective. So risk measurement does allow you to make better decisions, but it doesn't bring certainty. If you measure risk properly, then you can do simulations and optimization. So you can say, how much bang am I getting for my buck? If you're measuring risk on a strong, medium, high, medium, low perspective, or this control has a rough efficacy of 20%, how do you know how much benefit you're getting from it? So if you don't measure things, you can't know how much benefit you're getting. Risk appetite and risk tolerance are great terms that we like to throw around in the risk community, but most people in your organization think in terms of dollars or pounds or euros. So if you really want to get everybody on the same page, you need to be expressing your risk in terms of pound reduction, return on investment, how much am I reducing my risk, 10%, 20%. You can talk about risk tolerance with my fellow geeks and nerds, but it's not really the best language for communicating at a strategic level how much benefit you get out of cyber risk prevention. We do use our own risk jargon. We do talk about risk tolerance and risk appetite. Sometimes we even talk about likelihoods and impacts and controls. Really, most people are used to thinking about risks in terms of events. And what most people understand when you talk to them about it is that one event can be reduced by more than one control. One source leads to many different events. So you're better off just talking to people about risks as they encounter them in their everyday life. Most people in an organization are familiar with cyber risk and two-factor authentication and all the different controls that are there, but you really need to talk to them about comparative trade-offs. So what's the best set of risk controls I should implement to reduce my cyber risk? How much could I bring down the risk? And you're better off doing that in everyday dollars, cents, pence. Not assume that everybody has the same measurement scale or rating scale. What's important to you might not be perceived as important to your CXO. So understand that people at the subject matter expert part of the organization that might be evaluating the efficiency or the efficacy of a risk might not have the same perspective of the importance of that risk as maybe your chief technology officer or chief finance officer. You need to have those people talk about those risks together. Somebody earlier in the conference talked about English being a funny language. There's no and no. N-O versus K-N-O-W. And the more we focus on knowing what our risks are and knowing what the alternative controls for those risks are, the better off we'll be, as opposed to saying the GRC tool or the government tells us we have to have this control in place, and no, you can't do it that way, because there's more than one way to meet a compliance requirement, and maybe you could do that at a lower activity level and capture some money back into your budget. And unless you know the relative cost and the relative importance, you can't do that.